Having a baby doesn't have to mean feeling petrified or enduring hours of labour pain. My name's Sophia Hansen, and I'm on a mission to help you feel calm and relaxed in pregnancy and labour, because that's what helps you have a better birth. Check out sophiahansen.com to see what I can do for you. I'm joined by first-time dad George, whose partner Lucy gave birth to their son in October last year, and it was a home birth. So George, welcome to the Prenatal Snug. How are you today?
I'm very good, thank you.
And thank you so much for coming to share your version of, not so much even of events, but just of your experience of a home birth. It must have just been something quite amazing. Tell us a little bit about that day back in October.
Yeah. It was amazing. You know, and people sort of, talk about life-changing experiences, and in their right in saying that. We'd sort of fairly early on planned to have a home birth, the day for me was sort of being woken up by Lucy at about sort of 6 or so in the morning, saying, "I think it's happening," because she'd been having sort of, I guess, Braxton Hicks contractions on and off for about a week or something, and I think she'd got woken up at about 1 in the morning, when the contractions were ramping up a little bit, she was like, "This is probably going on," but she very thankfully for me waited until 6 to wake me up. And it was nice. We just kind of just had a fairly normal morning. We went for a walk. I think Lucy ended up watching quite a lot of telly. I think we played a card game. I think it was just that, she had an app that she was sort of timing the contractions on, and she didn't feel like anything was particularly intense. And so we were just kind of taking it easy. I think we phoned up the midwives just to say, this is going on, and they just said, let us know at the appropriate time, whatever that was in terms of timing contractions. I can't remember what it is now. And then I think about sort of 4 in the afternoon, I think it got to the point where Lucy couldn't really do anything else apart from kind of focus on what was going on. Fortunately for us, we had a friend who's a midwife who'd booked a holiday to come and visit us just that day, and so she was on the way, and she showed up at about 4 in the afternoon. I just remember kind of the thing that I remember about it was that I'd been quite studious and had read a lot of books and done a lot of homework about being a good birth partner and stuff, and I didn't really use any of it. I used some of it, but basically Lucy wasn't really interested in kind of me being anywhere near her. She was sort of very much in her own space, in her own zone. There was a period where I was actually wearing some dungarees, and when she was having the contractions, she literally just wanted me to stand in front of her so she could like hang on to my dungaree straps, and that was basically my job for hours, was just to stand in front of her and not touch her or not say anything, just stand there. Our friend Flo arrived, and I think because of experiences of other people and everything we'd sort of been told to prepare for, I think everyone was kind of expecting it to be quite a long time, because people often say could be a couple of days, whatever. I think Flo encouraged Lucy to go to bed and have a bit of a rest, and I just kind of sat in there with her. Again, she just wanted me to be around. She didn't really need me for anything. And I think that for her, that was the most difficult period for her. And I think what we really realized subsequently was that she was in transition then. But we didn't realize it. We all thought she was had ages and ages to go, but she was actually in transition. And at one point she said, "Oh, can you get the midwife to come?" And then, about an hour later, Debbie, the midwife, came, did a did her first examination, and she was like, "You better fill the pool, George, because she's fully dilated." And we were like, "Oh wow," because it was just very quick. We just weren't expecting it to happen that quickly. So I kind of the next kind of, I don't know what time this was now, but like the next hour or so was me kind of frantically sort of rushing around to get everything ready. Again, because I hadn't filled up the birth pool, because again, I was like, I'll probably be here all night, no point in filling out now. And then it was just so quick. Next thing we knew it, Lucy was in the pool, and we were still filling it up, when she got in there. And Coram was born at 9:30 in the evening. It was, and the thing that stands out for me is that it was just, I wasn't afraid the whole time, for various reasons. I think because, the support that we got from both our friend who's a midwife and Debbie, who was our midwife, just very confident, despite the fact that we hadn't been given a home birth pack, which should have been delivered to us before. At one point, Debbie was like, "Oh, where's the home birth pack?" And I was like, "Well, what's that?" She's like, "The pack with all the equipment that you should have been given a couple of weeks ago." And I was like, "Don't think we had that." And she's like, "Okay, well, can you sterilize some scissors? You got any scissors? Can you sterilize them for me?" And even though it was kind of, that was the most drama that we had, it just all felt very relaxed, apart from the kind of quickly having to fill the birth pool. And just, Lucy was amazing. Just really, between contractions, she was just really just kind of in the zone, very sort of calm. And then when the contractions came, it was really super intense and loud and, really kind of screaming. But it was just interesting seeing that kind of, the different, that would happen. And then she would just be in this really kind of like quiet, calm place in between. I don't know if she was feeling that. I don't know. And then another thing which was really amazing was that, she was in the pool and her waters didn't break until basically he came out. So I could see everything, which was amazing. I could see his head coming out and going back in. And again, Debbie was kind of explaining to me what was going on. And, she was like, "Oh, do you want to have a feel?" And I felt the amniotic sac, because that was the first thing that would sort of come out and go back in, and it just felt like a kind of a balloon. And then he came out all in one go, which again I think is slightly unusual. I was expecting it, head come out, wait for a few minutes, then the next contraction. Then he just sort of suddenly came out, and as soon as I think maybe the cord was around his neck, so. I think one of us was hoping to kind of pull him out, but Debbie was like, "Oh, the cord's around his neck, let me just sort it out." And then as soon as he came out of the water, he kind of started crying a bit. And so there wasn't any of that fear of like, "Oh, is he breathing? Is he all right?" It was kind of instantly, he was absolutely fine. And then I just remember just that kind of flood of emotion, and just I remember sort of sitting there and just being like, "Oh, he's so beautiful, he's so beautiful." That was the day up until he was born. It was just it was a really great experience. I couldn't have had it go any other way. Really, it was amazing.
There's so many things that I love about Coram's birth. And one, when I was talking to Lucy, we obviously did a chat about this a few weeks ago. And Lucy was saying, in her mind, there was lots of things that she was going to love for you to do. And then she said herself, but on the day I was just in my own zone and George was just kind of there. But that's one of the things that we talk about so much in hypnobirthing, isn't it? Is that you can be as prepared as a birth partner. You can know as the woman that you really want to have the birth partner support, but up until you're in that moment, you don't know if you're going to want to be touched or have somebody whispering sweet nothings, or just go over there so that I can see you, or just let me hold on to the back of your dungarees or onto the straps. How did it feel for you in that moment where Lucy was kind of so independent in her own space and she wanted you there, but you didn't have so much of a hands-on role to play? How was that for you?
Fine. Yeah, I think it was not. It was nice in a way, as I kind of felt like I was really able to. again, apart from that time when I was kind of frantically filling up the pool, I was very much kind of able to kind of observe everything that was going on, and it was sort of witnessing her experience and being there for it, as opposed to being like, okay, I've got to do this now and I've got to do that and I've got to do that. If it was, well, yeah, it was nice because I didn't really have to do all that much. And I think, for me, it was just the whole time was just this real strong feeling of like pride, and just like I felt like that she just, again, I just didn't have any fear. I just really trusted that she was going to be able to do it and everything was going to be fine. And and I knew that might not be the case, but I just really there was just something about, and I guess this is probably the same for almost everyone, but her body knew what to do, and just sort of having the trust in that felt really nice. And I didn't feel stressed, again, apart from the kind of the pool filling hour or so.
I bet that felt like the longest pool in the world to fill. It's like, is this ever going to fill? Quick, fill it up. At least Lucy had her own kind of whirlpool while you were doing that.
Yeah.
But I think you summed it up perfectly there, because yes, there's lots of things a birth partner can do, but really one of the most important is that feeling of creating that kind of safety and security and that protected space. And it sounds like you just created that space so much for Lucy already that she was just able to do what she needed to do and know that your presence was enough. Like, you just being in that space was enough for her without needing to have the soothing strokes or the words or the do this or do that, just being there. And I know from some of the photos that Lucy sent through to me, we were talking about the kind of the atmosphere or the environment of your day. And we ended up concluding it was like a Boxing Day, where like everything, the kind of drama of Christmas is out of the way. And then Boxing Day is that calm, relaxed, nothing really to do. You're just here, you're present, you're relaxed, you've got your cards out, you're listening to your music. Is that how you thought it would be? Because home births often have got this kind of drama of, lots going on in the house, but actually you created such an amazing kind of sanctuary space. Is that how you imagined it before?
Well, yeah, it's hard to go back that far. And I think that's what I'd hoped for, really, because it's, the kind of, the kind of alternative image of what a birth can be like that kind of you would present to us. It's obviously something that everyone wants. So, that's something that I hoped for. Obviously, I didn't know that was what was definitely going to happen. But yeah, no, that was definitely, and it just feels, I think as a birth partner, it feels nice to be allowed to just say, oh, you can just relax. You can just go for a walk. You can just sit and watch telly. It doesn't have to be this kind of sudden thing of like, right, this is happening now. I need to kind of do all of these things. And I think, I definitely feel even though, we didn't use so many of the things that we prepared, I'm very glad that I did, because when it happened, I kind of felt like I was ready for every eventuality, and it gave me the kind of opportunity to just relax, because I knew that, that everything was ready, and apart from the pool being filled. But yeah.
And how did it feel for you watching Lucy in all of that? Just knowing that here she is at home with you in that safe environment, having your baby. How did that feel to be a part of?
Yeah, just, I think, like I said before, just pride and just so much kind of respect and awe and love, just kind of like, because it's just such an amazing thing. And I think I feel like that, since seeing her go through that, I feel like I just have so much kind of respect for all people that give birth, because it's such an incredible thing and such a difficult thing in lots of ways. And seeing someone go through that, I'm just like, wow, all of you people who have gone through that, you're all amazing. All just my thing.
And how much closer would you say it's the whole experience has kind of brought the two of you and as a family?
I think I just it's just a new level of love, I think, really. Yeah. So I do, and obviously having Coram being part of that, it's kind of it's like that thing of, when people say it changes you, it kind of, just it's this new type of love that I'd never experienced before. And fortunately the 6 months after his birth have been a really positive 6 months, despite everything that's been going on in the world for us. So I felt like, I've really been able to kind of build on that as a family and also as a couple. So I think it's only been a really great thing for our relationship. It's different. Our relationship's very different now. We don't have any time. Well, we have a few minutes every once in a while, when Lucy's parents come over and they're playing the Coram for a bit to ourselves. But at the moment, it's like that's not really what the focus of our relationship is. The focus is us as a family. And although there's times when I would very much be like, I'd really kill for just an hour, me and Lucy. It's just like, well, that's, if we were doing that more, then we'd be missing out on this special thing which we're never gonna ever get again. So I can be patient for that stuff. It's fine.
That's such an amazing perspective to look at all of it on. And I love what you said there. I mean, essentially what you're saying is like a different love department. It's like a whole new level of love that comes through. And often with first-time mums and first-time dads, they can feel really quite apprehensive. The whole kind of, I don't want to see what's happening down there. And there's often this feeling with new mums that they're apprehensive about their husband or their partner seeing them in what they perceive as a kind of vulnerable state, or not looking at their best, or just seeing parts of them in a different way from how they're used to seeing them, when there can be a real anxiety there. And I always say your partner, your husband will come back at the end and just be like, that was amazing. That was incredible what you have just done. And you've just summed it up perfectly there. So if there's anybody watching this who's been kind of thinking, oh, I don't want my partner to see me like that, just know and trust that your partner will just have this whole new level of respect than you ever thought possible before. George, is there any advice that you would give to anybody who's planning a home birth? Any one thing that you think is important? Obviously, you were so patient and calm. That's an amazing skill to have.
Yeah, I think it does help to kind of be prepared. And like I said, I think having as many of the things kind of put in place as early as possible just meant that kind of lead up to it happening meant that, there was very limited stress. And I think, for me, well, I think maybe that's advice for just birth in general, is just like prepare to kind of be flexible, because you don't really know how it's going to happen. In my head, Coram wasn't going to be born until at least the next day. It was all really, really quick. So, and I guess you're always going to have an idea of how things are going to go, but just be prepared for that to change. And,
And what was that first cuddle like with Coram?
I'm trying to remember. I can't really remember what I think, because he was skin to skin with Lucy. I can't actually remember the very first time I cuddled him, because I was sort of there with them the whole time.
Yeah.
I do actually remember there's a video of me. It's quite cheesy. I think it must have been, that night or maybe the next morning. Holding him skin to skin, and I was singing one of my favorite songs to him and just crying, because it was just that enormity of like, I'm singing one of my favorite songs to my first baby, and just that, nothing can kind of prepare you for that kind of new level of kind of love and attachment, really. And I've been talking about that recently, just like, suddenly you've got this thing which, you would do anything for, and I would do anything to protect him, and just, never quite having that feeling before. You have a partner, but there's that kind of equal in the relationship, but now there's this thing which is so dependent on you, and you know, that feeling of like I would give up anything to make sure he's okay. Is just quite you know, it's funny because it's like it's hard to be a parent and to be selfish. I feel like it's changed my own kind of sense of self, really, because I'm not, you know, even though I was in a committed relationship before that I was hoping to be in for the long term, you know, I still very much had a sense of myself as an individual, whereas now I don't really feel like I'm so much me on my own anymore. And that's an amazing thing. You know, that's obviously got its limitations. I can't just do whatever I want anymore. But now I have this like incredible new richness in my life, you know, which is incredible.
George, you'll be making women all over the world cry right now. I don't think anything about that was cheesy. I think that's probably one of the most heartfelt shares we've ever had. So thank you so much for that. And Coram, you are one very, very lucky young man. And I was going to say as is Lucy. Obviously, Lucy is not a lucky young man. A very blessed and independent and fabulous woman. So no, that's just the most amazing, amazing story. And I think everything about the kind of home birth that I love, it's the calmness, it's just the comfort, the fact that Lucy's friend Flo was arriving and she happened to be a midwife as well, you know, all of those things together and what could have been a very, very different experience just created this most amazing thing for you at home. And I love what you said as well, you know, Lucy was using her voice. And voice is so important because it helps to release a lot of that energy that we're feeling, any of the tension that we're feeling. It releases some of the intensity. It also helps to free up the jaw. So whether it's screaming or roaring, people tend to think of those things as negative, like they must mean lots of pain. But often it is just this, oh my goodness, you know, watch any big burly man taking a sofa upstairs and carrying it and they'll be a bit of going on at the same time. So yeah, it's just the most amazing thing in the world. So thank you so, so much for sharing. Is there anything else that you would like to add today that we haven't already touched on?
No, I don't think so. I think just, definitely, you know, doing the course with you, for me was like I think the thing that was most helpful for me in it was and I can't really remember what it was about going through that experience with you that it was like coming into it, with not loads, but like a certain amount of kind of anxiety and fear around the process of Lucy having a baby, and then coming out of it just feeling so much more confident and less fear basically, and just being like, okay, you know, kind of dispelling a lot of those myths that you know we all get told about birth, and just realizing that the birth could be the sort of experience that we ended up having, you know. So yeah, that was really, really useful for both of us, I think.
And thank you so much for sharing that too. I think it makes a really big difference sometimes when we also just have a set kind of window where you know that this is something that's going to be discussed. And when you have somebody like me there as a kind of facilitator and also, yes, an educator, but it gives you the space to open up conversations that might just get kind of avoided or dismissed or put the bin out. We need to have supper now. You've got that phone call to make. And so it can be easy for those things to get sidelines. But when you know that you've got a kind of guaranteed time and a safe space and somebody that can help lead your thinking in different directions, it does make a really big difference. But it sounds like you just did an amazing job as a birth partner. You didn't get all petulant when it wasn't like, George, I need you, do this. You're just like, no, I'm here, solid as a rock, all of the energy that she needs, all of the support she needs. And in in reality, that is the essence that everybody wants in a birth partner. Nobody really wants you running around with flapjack bites if that's not what they want. So just knowing that you have that solid as a rock space and energy to contribute. And then to hear the way that you talk about Coram and Lucy afterwards, it's going to make women all over the world want to go and have babies. So thank you so much. And lots of love to Lucy and Coram. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Are you ready to take control of the ways you can influence your birth for the better? Head over to sophiahansen.com and bag yourself a freebie. Calm and relax is the name of the game, no matter what type of birth you're planning. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss a thing. Lots of love. Bye bye for now.